CNN 10. I'm Carl Azus, and we're starting today's show with a bit of trivia. What nation is widely considered America's oldest ally? The answer to that is France. It factors into our first report today because its leader, President Emmanuel Macron, is at the White House for the first state visit hosted by U.S. President Donald Trump. Other world leaders have visited the U.S. since President Trump was inaugurated, but a state visit is a more formal event. This one is scheduled to last 3 days. Planning for Tuesday night's dinner alone started months ago. And as part of it, valuable and symbolic gifts are exchanged between President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump and President Macron and French First Lady Brigitte Macron. France is considered America's oldest ally because it supported the U.S. in the Revolution, its war for independence from Great Britain. The relationship between the American and French leaders today is said to be very close. It's an interesting and complex dynamic because the two leaders have at different times criticized each other and complimented each other. On some points, they have very little in common, on others, a lot. One example is the recent airstrikes that the U.S., France, and Britain worked together on in targeting the chemical weapons program of Syria.
The strikes may have been carefully coordinated, but the row that followed was anything but, after the French president claimed to be driving U.S. policy in Syria.
10 days ago, President Trump said the USA's will is to disengage from Syria. We convinced him. We convinced him that it was necessary to stay.
It took less than 5 hours for the White House to respond, denying that its policy had changed. A squaring off between two presidents that began nearly a year ago, with a grip that was more arm wrestle than handshake. Last May, two ideologically different political newcomers sized each other up for the first time. The policy clash came only weeks later over climate change, when President Donald Trump announced the U.S. withdrawal from the Paris Accord.
I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris.
Emmanuel Macron responded, turning Trump's campaign slogan against him.
Make our planet great again.
But the sizing up and political differences then gave way in July to an unexpected truce. In Paris, the two presidents met and, it appeared, actually liked each other.
So I really have a feeling that you're going to have a very, very peaceful and beautiful Paris. And I'm coming back. You better do a good job, please. Otherwise, you're going to make me look very bad.
And you're always welcome.
Thank you.
Progress, they said, had been made on a number of issues, even, it seemed, on climate change.
We discussed a lot of different topics. We briefly hit on the Paris Accord, and we'll see what happens.
After the pomp and circumstance of the Bastille Day parade and more exchanges between the two presidents, it was time to say goodbye, which they did with more warmth than anyone had imagined possible. Warmth that has now translated into the first state visit of Donald Trump's presidency. Melissa Bell, CNN, Paris.
In Toronto, Canada, a white van collided with dozens of people on a sidewalk yesterday. When we produced this show, police said 9 people were killed and 16 were injured. A law enforcement official told CNN that police believe the act was intentional, though they hadn't said so publicly. Terrorists have used vehicles to attack pedestrians in major cities in recent years, but we don't know yet if this was terrorism. A suspect is in police custody. 10-second trivia. Celtis, oak leaf, and Swiss chard are all types of what? Ivy, lettuce, rose, or cauliflower? These may not get as much attention as iceberg or butterhead, but they're all types of lettuce. Romaine's another type that's getting attention for the wrong reason. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control is warning that a recent E. coli outbreak is connected to romaine lettuce. And this outbreak looks to be pretty widespread. It's affected at least 53 people in 16 states, including 8 people at a prison in Alaska. But it's a lettuce-growing area several states away in Yuma, Arizona, that's believed to be the source of the outbreak. Labels on packages often don't say where the lettuce is from, so the CDC says people should throw out any romaine in their homes and avoid it at restaurants unless they know for sure that the lettuce isn't from Yuma. No deaths had been reported as of last night, but 5 victims have developed a type of kidney failure as a result of the bacterial outbreak.
E. coli is a type of bacteria. It lives in your intestines and it lives in the intestines of animals. Most of the time, E. coli is harmless. You're not going to get sick. But there are some strains that can get you sick. E. coli 0157H7 is a particularly dangerous strain of E. coli. You can get it from undercooked ground meat, you can get it from vegetables, from unpasteurized milk and juice, from soft cheeses. While it is found in vegetables, ultimately an animal is the source, so animal waste somehow has come in contact with crops. Children and adults with weakened immune system, they're the most vulnerable to getting very sick. The signs of E. coli poisoning are nausea and vomiting, abdominal pain, cramps, fatigue, and fever. And most people who get sick from E. coli, they recover in 5 to 10 days. But some people, they get really sick. Their organs can shut down and they can die. There are things that you can do to prevent an E. coli infection. Wash your fruits and vegetables, cook your meats thoroughly, use a thermometer and get that thermometer up to 160 degrees. There's no cure for an E. coli infection. Antibiotics don't work, so the best that you can do is keep yourself hydrated and keep yourself rested.
Jack used to be a pretty common nickname for someone named John. It's why John and Jill Albert were nicknamed Jack and Jill by their friends. They're the namesake of a nonprofit foundation that arranges vacations for families affected by late-stage cancer. So far, it's helped more than 1,000 families, and John is a CNN hero.
My wife Jill was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2002. 8 months later, it was revealed that the cancer had spread. Jill would cry herself to sleep in fear that Jake and Jamie would forget her. But we took advantage of that window in which we knew that the battle was being lost to rack up the memories. Seeing so many families that were in the same boat as we were, I had an epiphany.
Hello, welcome to Florida.
The Jack and Jill Late Stage Cancer Foundation provides a trip, also called a WOW experience.
Welcome home.
Wow. Pretty.
Good.
I know.
We take care of every detail. It's not where they go, it's that they go.
We have a hammock, Dad.
A hammock.
We give them a chance to create fun memories while they can. Stroll the beach, have a family photo shoot. We are trying to give each family their own unique, treasured time together.
Enjoy the game, okay?
Ooh, we're going out on the field.
Sweet.
Be right there during batting practice.
Drive. Oh my gosh.
To meet these players.
I need to sign my hat too. It's incredible. I'm a baseball fan, so it's kind of crazy for me.
And then Reggie Jackson walks in and gets a picture with the family.
Dad, that's like your time.
I just felt like we were forgetting about all the hard stuff that's going on. Seeing my kids doing something that they'll never forget with their dad means the world to us.
I couldn't save my wife's life, but I can do this. It is exceptionally bittersweet, but it's oh so sweet.
If you just can't let go of winter, you can travel to a Japanese attraction called the Snow Wall Walk. It's about a 2.5-hour train ride north of Tokyo. The walk you'll take lasts about 50 minutes, and the sides of the wall can stretch 55 feet high. It took snowplow drivers 3 months to clear the route. Also known as the Roof of Japan, the Northern Japan Alps feature a winter wonderland that lasts until late June. Now, some are thinking, don't fall for it. Why spring for more winter? But whether you're one of those seasoned skeptics of the cold, as long as you have a good latitude, you can see why people alpine away to have fundra in the tundra. I'm Carl Azusa. That's all for CNN 10.